Good evening from the Hostage Diaries. Weekend of Sundance. Sundance Kidnapster. Of course, I'm sitting in the moldy garage in Savannah being reverent, paying the bills as a hostage. Now, they done stole my wallet, and they figured out how to use the counterfeit printing press. Then they hired a ton of lawyers with the counterfeit money to launder it. And then they keep me as the hostage, and I beautify them also, and I provide health care to make them well. Well, I mean, we're talking about the biggest con game in the history of the world, but they are some cool motherfuckers, I guess. It's all about that better sort of mentality. They got to prove they are the best champions of the world at it, because inherently there is fraud at the basis of it. Therefore, to validate it, they got to be charge at all. When you're betting with a stolen wallet facing the bill, you bet all in every time, and you do anything to win. That's the scenario. I mean, that's just logic. You're betting with a stolen wallet. You don't have the money to pay. You will do anything to keep that heater going. I mean, you will burn down the motherfucking casino. You will kill the family that owns the casino and bury them. And then just so you don't have to, I mean, that's just all part of the game. The game grid seems to be almighty everything. That's the system, this game grid. That's God. God is this game grid. It's all God is this game grid. There's not, they'll use it. Like I said, they'll use God like Blue Cross and Blue Shield, or to pay the chump that pays the bill and all that stuff. The deep pockets. Anytime you need to make something up, that's what religion's for. The mystery is a good way to launder money and to hide just about anything. So the game grid, though, is what's really all that matters. That's it. That is everything. And you got to keep some high value. Like, that's why I am forced into the game grid. I should be the house overseeing it. But no, they want it easy. They want it hard on me, easy on the players. So I get kidnapped and forced into this game grid by hacked and just hacked to death. Unaware, of course. You got to figure it out. Figure out you got $1 billion, but we're going to see how much we can take from you in the meantime while you're figuring it out. That's only fair, right? That's smart. Yeah. Healthcare, right? Then you're going to protect us because we screwed you so bad. Ooh, now that is the deal of the century. Yep. So the game grid. The game grid is set up as far as like a cage. It builds cages. It moves and changes depending on the parameters of the game. Competition is like erosion. It changes the game depending on. And it's constantly producing more and more money. And it needs to feed on people. So it lets some people, it's like certain people are led into the game grid. And when they get there, it's like competitive eating. How much can you eat at the buffet? How much cash can you shovel in? How many connections can you make? While I'm stuck down in the kiddie pool drowning, It's like having Shamu Orca in a kiddie pool, and I can't even swim, and I'm just sat there as a gawker exhibition. So, the game keeps bringing in new people, and they're allowed in. But what they're really there for is to pad the cell. It's not muscle, it's fat. The game keeps getting fatter and fatter and fatter. Because I have provided that deep pocket from another, they dug that well underneath into that bank vault, into that jewel vault, so they use that to pay the bills. They don't pay their bills. Yeah, that's their chump suckers to pay your bills. Just make something up, You can sign your name, put an X marks the spot, send it in. Let the chump over there in the kiddie pool that's paying for everything pay for it. And that's basically what I'm there for, is to pay the bills. And that's why they won't let me go, or they keep me stuck off in my moldy Savannah garage being reverent. It's all about the reverence. Got to pay for everything. Empathy lessons, I got to be empathetic, because it's a bribe in order to beautify others that aren't worth it. they're not worth it. It's not worth it because the cost to the scheme of the globally, it's not worth it at all. So you've got a bunch of posers in control of a stolen wallet. Of course, they're going to make up shit to keep that stolen wallet. Name of the game, keep away the stolen wallet. Number one, name of the game, you beat the hell out of the victim. When you mug somebody, you beat the hell out of the victim. You don't want them dead because you need them alive because you need the blood keeps it's regenerative blood. So by keeping me barely alive in a coma, they can keep all the blood flowing. That's what it's all about because they've plugged into my body. So now but they got to keep it fair. That's why I'm a Jew down skateboard for thrashers. You know, to ride around or snowboard, to jump, or actually it's a wakeboard, driving around Smurf Blue from choking to death, almost dead. So I am choked to death, almost dead, just barely, just a slight, that's as weak as you can get it. So you can bring in the weakest people in the country to beat the shit out of me, so they can be fat. That gives them credibility, so they can get into the game and get all muscled up, and you can add to your fat supply. That sounds like it's crazy, but it's actually really true. So you take the bank and you let anybody just desecrate it. It's reverent lessons, empathy there, right? To every smallest little thing, you got to respect everything. So sacred, everything so sacred. While the world falls apart to protect these. Well, it's all because they're trying to prove God's chosen people. You know, yeah, whatever. That's really funny. While they're bankrupting the bank, just as padding and health care to protect themselves from the scam. So the schemes, they keep plugging in these schemes. Hey, the game is not fair. The game grid is not fair, but it's at least a controlled environment of keeping things contained to a degree. But the problem is, you killed the cops. You're a bunch of cop killers. Straight up, the USA are proud cop killers. Well, you take them hostage, and you had to breed some hostages to protect yourself. For the most part, you produced for the most part, the bank, the law, was the bank officers, the law, who was in charge of the international estate, who nobody seems to care about, because you want that veal. I know, Catholics are not very smart. They grew them dumb. They're veal. Really not very, they do that. They pose great. They're Madonna, pose V, Vogue. Yeah, you are so fucking smart. You're going to show them what cats is all about. You're going to get back at them while you're giving away the biggest chunk of land in the history of the world. Literally. And what's the problem is you've lost all your muscle. You've lost all your steering capability. They chop the heads off, so now it's just wait till the body dies. And the body's going to die and fall into it, and it's going to be easy meat, really to just walk up and grab it. But, nobody did anything. I don't understand it, to be quite honest with you. It's those reverent lessons, I guess. Just doesn't make any sense to me. Well, with so much evidence, why would you build a fucking skateboard park with, it's like literally going into the Louvre and we're going to turn it into a skateboard park. Why would you do that? Why would you gamble that much? Then all you have, then you got to try to spin it. Just doesn't make much sense. So now you're addicted to a skateboard park. That's all you got. You got a bunch of games because you burned down the bank. Now the game has taken over the supply of money. Now they're trying to funnel as much money as possible, and they're trying to keep the lights on. They built a dome, and they gutted me in hollow because they scooped out all the muscle. So now there's a game going on inside of me. They're desperate to keep the lights off. You gotta keep the lights off. That's what it's all about. Because that's why. Well. It was desperate, especially they're trying to be reverent to all the oppressed people of the world. They want to emancipate those bank accounts. They really want to set those bank accounts free. so we can pick and choose what assets we want to let come in and jump on the score stripper pole, or we want to come in for the to hang on the walls or to serve us in Richistan. What we're going to emancipate so we can bring them in to serve us some victuals from around the world, make it exotic. So they, emancipating the bank accounts is what it's all about. So the party mentality, and I agree, it's not fair all over the world, but I'm just acting responsibly because you kind of went overboard so far that you've lost all credibility. And so, I mean, you've just gone so far off the deep end that you have to cover when you have to bury my body so deep, you've lost, that's how far off the deep end you've gone. That's not necessarily smart. That's a huge gamble. So, you got to turn over to the system itself and empower the system because you're worshiping a game grid. It's all you put. You are worshiping the game grid. Is all you worship. Nothing more. You want a place to go play. Playboy. That's what it is. Your Playboy game grid. And you've incorporated the bank to where they're chump suckers paying everybody's bill. So now the bank, it's easy, cheap, free loot. It's that miracle math. You can make up anything you want because you're cop killers. Laws don't matter. You're a bunch of fucking you Kool-Aid cop killers. That's what the USA is. Bunch of fucking cop killers. So now the party's raging. Project Ecstasy, the agony over here, and the ecstasy just give it out. Because you're going to emancipate the world's bank accounts to follow you like Pied Piper, and the rats are going to follow you. Praise the game. Pray to that game. Woo! Game's all that matters. Party on, dudes. Bill and Ted must have been on to something back then and there. So, they're collecting historical figures. Wow, what does that mean? So, the question is, what do? You can't just avoid, it's like that Confessions of a Shopaholic, where they're terrified of the debt collector because they run up huge bills. Not only that, it's beyond worse than that. They're trying, it's so bad you can't even imagine. And so now they're trying to spin it because they're bribing anyone, codifying anything that's ever gone wrong. I pay for. Put it on the charge card there. It's no limit charge card there. Master P, no limit. Yeah, oh yeah. That's a deep pockets. Goes all the way around. That's fifth of the world's asset you can tie in. St. Louis King Cake, France, right? Yeah, fuck you, King Cakes. Let's cancel and decline all that KC Royal King Cake. You're so fucking fat pigs. You need to go on a goddamn diet. Barry's boot camp. I'll shove a boot up your ass, motherfucker. But instead, I'm going to go on a diet. The biggest loser here is going to lose some more weight. You're going to eat some of them prized veal out there in the field. So, it really is. The king cake is flowing, but they don't want to pay. They'll let the world pay, but the partiers are going to keep it going. Just keep it going. So the game is necessity. You got to keep the game going. And we're not talking about, this is so far beyond everything you can even imagine because the gamble on destroying, it's knocking over a bank. And for whatever reason, nothing more. You killed some cops and you knocked over a bank. That's basically all it is. Then you bribed everyone to get away with it. It was a ton of money. So, and then you put in you got Big Sis there, and you got Peter Pan, and you got everybody in there. You can bribe anyone and codify the Vogue Veal crew over there that are just partying and dancing with Lady Gaga. And so they're just having the time of their lives. And they don't really, they're pretty much brain dead for the most part. They don't have a fucking clue, to be quite honest with you. They don't really, they might, but they just did too much. They're crackheads. What do you expect from a fucking crackhead? You raised a grenade. Really, when you look at it, just because you don't, when you act a certain way, the ramifications are very similar, metaphorical, to smoking crack because it's such a gamble, an illegal gamble. So therefore, you got to try to figure into the metaphorical context of what's really going on. Just because you take an aspirin, then you go out and rob a bank, then you take it, oh, it's just an aspirin. We didn't rob that bank. We just took an aspirin. That must be legal then, right? Because we didn't rob that bank. It's just aspirin. And we spun out and printed a ton of cash. I mean, it's that sort of mentality. So, what's the question here? Or what's the answer? Empathy. I know, I'm going to pay some more. Always paying more. More, 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 more. You know, that's the competitive eaters buffet guidelines. And the problem is like, it's not my accounts don't even really affect a lot of what's going on in the United States. It deals with a global inventory. But I'm not even allowed to assess, because you want to get in there and pick and choose, emancipate them accounts, so you can pick and choose. Oh, it's just, I mean, what the reality of this is so bad, you can't even imagine what I am paying for. And then to validate it, you've got to just destroy. That's why I've got to sit here and just wait until I'm dead, basically, because they've screwed up so bad. They're trying, this is all about trying to accountability. And so they're giving away so much cash to anyone and everyone to validate the system. It's just Mardi Gras all the year. I mean, never ends Mardi Gras, giving away just fatter, you know, just fat, fat, fat everywhere. No muscle, because you don't really have any control mechanism. Your only answer is throw cash at it, you know, throw cash at it, you know, and attack. It's beyond. I mean, your muscle capacity just doesn't add up. It really, really is out of this world bad. So, the disease has gone nuts because they're emancipated and just taking over everything. And those with a vested interest don't seem to be doing anything. They sacrificed me. They think they're going to codify. They're like, here, we're going to hold him up like the scarecrow to keep away. You know, we're going to give you it. But in reality, it's going to make it all the worse because you're validating these scams by giving them me because they figured out a way to use it valid. I mean, it's really bad logic on all sorts of senses. But the party keeps raging. I'm sitting in the moldy garage, empathetic, reverent beautician there for the mobsters, the gangsters, you know, the players, the VIP Players Club in my house that they locked me out of to be murdered for sport. You know, oh, I mean, what? I mean, when history, I know, we all know, you can never win. It's like any crackhead, like, you go to any crackhead, you go to any, you know, heroin junkie, chasing the dragon. You never lose. You gotta keep going. You got a ton of, you're a rich, fat kid with a crack habit and a heroin habit. That's what you are. Mr. USA is a rich, very fat kid who can afford his drugs. He can afford the crack. He can afford the heroin. He can afford the steroids. He's got the finest hoes from all around the world sucking cock just to be part of his party. That's Mr. USA. Mr. Universe, yeah. Just the biggest fucking crackhead, heroin smack junkie you could ever imagine with the best hoe sucking his USA cock for freedom to emancipate. Pink revolution. Praise the Horton world. Jump them ramps. You're never gonna land. You gonna run forever. Woo! You the champions of the world.